Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank. Let's go. Coming up, Joy News investigations capture some doctors and nurses at the Tamale Teaching Hospital extorted monies from patients at the maternity ward.
We paid that 108 Ghana cedis, asked for a receipt, and they said the receipt is not there, that they are not to give us any receipt.
We'll bring you more on the harrowing account of a disabled husband who had to ride for more than an hour in search of money to pay an unapproved fee. Also in this package, Energy Ministry justifies government's decision to award 100 million cedi contract to a one-year-old company to supply street lights without open competitive bidding.
Mr. Speaker, it is to be noted that the Ministry obtained approvals from the Public Procurement Authority and the Central Tender Review Committee prior to the award of this contract.
And insurance marketer faults Takoradi Circuit Court judge for failing to apply prescribed statutory fines against the driver who knocked and chopped off the leg of a 6-year-old boy.
The minimum for that particular dangerous driving issue is 250 penalty units and the maximum 500. So why would the judge give something less, 150 units?
We'll tell you why he wants the National Insurance Commission to step into the matter.
We've got sports coming up later, and Kumasi Asante Kotoko are complaining of poor treatment from the Kenyan host Kariobangi Sharks FC ahead of Saturday's Confederation Cup qualifier.
And later in this package, government proposes 2 new holidays, August 4 and January 7. Details in a moment. I am Bernice Abubeidu Lansa. Great to have you here. The details now. Joy News investigations have uncovered how some doctors and nurses at the Tamale Teaching Hospital extort monies from patients at the maternity ward. Mothers who are unable to pay these monies are detained at the facility. Joy News' Kwete Nate and Hashmin Mohammed report how these health officials even demand monies from fathers who wish to find out the sex of their newly born babies. Kwete Nate joins me in studio for a little chat on this development, but first here are some details of the story.
Someone took him again. Is it I should pay 5 cedi or 10 cedi for tea? They have to prepare tea for my wife. I gave the person that money. It was 5 cedi. And later on, I asked my wife, and she told me that nobody prepared tea for her. And for that 3 months, up to the time that she delivered, I spent almost getting to 2,000.
This assignment is important because the extortion by health officials will not only make people shy away from accessing health care in the hospitals for fear of being charged exorbitant fees, but also compel them to resort to dangerous self-medication options. Others are likely to be denied treatment for non-payment of these exorbitant fees. I have come across Al-Hassan, a depressed-looking husband expecting his second child. Doctors are demanding he pays 108 cedis for a drug to induce his wife's pregnancy. He had already made substantial payments since she was admitted. His wife has been rushed to the emergency ward, but without the money, doctors will not operate on her.
So I went there this morning. They've called me, They've called me this morning. They said I should come. That is an emergency. I should come to see something. When I went to the hospital, the doctor said they have to operate my wife because the child is having too much weight. So they said it is an emergency, so they have to operate on her. I came down. They've sent us all down, and they've said they are going to send inside theater. We were down there when they've called us again and said we are supposed to pay 108 Ghana cedis, a certain 108 Ghana cedis. Then we went. When we went, we asked them, what are we paying the 100 Ghana cedis for? They said that one is for some drugs that they've used and the health insurance did not cover. Meanwhile, we already bought some of the drugs that they've said health insurance has not covered.
A doctor who identified as Mohammed takes the money but will not provide receipt when we demanded it.
So please, you say we should pay how much?
86.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's 100 cedis. Yes. So I can take off the anesthesia assessment, but the drugs, there's nothing to 56. That's give 4 cedis. Yeah. When you go out here, now when it's ready, they'll call you. Okay. Okay, I'll bring it. 4 cedis. No problem.
Al-Hassan recounts the experience.
So we paid that 108 Ghana cedis, asked for a receipt, and they said the receipt is not there, that they are not to give us any receipt.
You heard Kwete Nate and Hashmin Mohammed's report. Kwete Nate led that investigation, and the details here are quite, unpleasant, but there's more to share, Kwete.
Yes, Benis, we caught on camera a number of doctors and nurses who were extorting monies from patients, including expectant mothers. And these amounts range from 10 cedis to 108 cedis. There were some patients who claimed they parted ways with over 2,000 cedis. And in many cases, expectant mothers who are unable to pay these monies are detained at the ward by some of these nurses. I had to pay for some of them. In fact, I paid for two of these patients who, the nurses were demanding monies from them. And interestingly, if you want to know whether your newly born baby is a male or a female, you have to pay as a father. And when these details in the expose are really revealing.
Interesting. But have we heard from the hospital authorities on this?
Yes, we spoke to the chief executive of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. David Akombela, and he said they've also heard reports of extortion from many departments, of the facility, but they haven't had any evidence. But he assured that they will not hesitate to sanction staff who are caught, in such practice. And last week, for instance, I saw a copy of a memo which had been issued by the hospital warning staff against, extortion.
The question of extortions by health personnel from our clients, I've been hearing such complaints on radio and but nobody has concretely brought a report to me on any concrete person taking money from a particular client. But we have taken steps. We've actually written out to notify all staff that it's illegal for anybody to take monies from anybody through any unapproved channel without receipts. So our staffs are aware that when they are caught in that act, they will be reprimanded heavily.
Is it mandatory for, let's say, women who deliver here at your hospital? Do they need to pay before they know the sex of their babies? Do they need to pay for even delivering? Is such practices approved here?
No, all our clients here are under the free maternal care, and we don't. The management has not instituted any charges of any form for patients to pay directly to us.
So, Benny, that's the chief executive of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. David Akombela.
So, Kwete, when is this documentary airing, and what more can we expect?
So, Robin the Sick is airing next week on the Joy News channel, Multi TV, on Monday 17th at 8:30 p.m. and on Tuesday at 6:30 on the 18th of December.
Thank you, Kwete Nate, there with our investigation team. Do make a date to watch that particular documentary. To some other news now. Energy Minister Peter Amewu has justified government's decision to award a 100 million cedi contract to a one-year-old company to supply streetlights without open competitive bidding. The minority in Parliament is questioning why government awarded the contract to Imperial World Ventures through restrictive tendering. They say the firm is a sole proprietorship one established in 2017 without any track record. Ashaman MP Ernest Nogbe questioned the minister on this issue on the floor of the House today.
Mr. Speaker, the procurement method used in award of the contract was the restricted tendering process, which, Mr. Speaker, it's in accordance with Section 38B of Act 663 of the Public Procurement Act as amended. Mr. Speaker, it is to be noted that the Ministry obtained approvals from the Public Procurement Authority and the Central Tender Review Committee prior to the award of this contract. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, in conducting restrictive tendering, I want to ask the Minister whether there was post-qualification done about this particular company. Because if you are entering into restricted tendering, you must do post-qualification analysis, evaluation, capacity, capability of the company before you award the contract to that company. I want to know.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry has a list of pre-qualified contractors that undertake projects as and when the Ministry determines the availability of such projects. Mr. Speaker, the Procurement Authority, as we are aware, it's the responsible authority to grant the necessary approvals for such processes. This, Mr. Speaker, the authority has a mandate also to investigate and find out the competence in terms of qualifications, capability, core competence of some of these companies. I can assure the House that, Mr. Speaker, all these were taken into consideration both by the Ministry and the authority in the award of the contract.
Well, that happened in Parliament a while ago. Let's go there live now and speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. Now, Joseph, how has the MP or the MPs been reacting to this justification by the Energy Minister?
So for those on the majority side, they got very satisfactory responses from the Minister, but those on the minority side have issues. The Member of Parliament, Ernest Nogbe, who asked the question, addressed the media immediately after the Minister spoke to the House, and he's insisting that this particular deal, he says, is a corrupt one. To use his words, he says the deal it has a lot of fraud in it, and that according to him, there's been the breach of the Public Procurement Act, and that on the minority side, they'll really take up the issue and get to the bottom of it. He's actually demanding an immediate cancellation of that particular contract so that then the company doesn't continue with the supply of the street light.
All right, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo would have to hold on because there are other developments from Parliament. January 7, 2019 may be observed as a public holiday. That is, if Parliament passes an amendment bill laid before it, which is also proposing that August 4 be observed as Founders' Day. President Akufo-Addo, in his maiden State of the Nation address, served notice he intends to initiate a national discussion on the date to be observed as Founders' Day. Take a listen.
Mr. Speaker, there's one subject on my mind that I wish to put before the House for consideration. I believe in this 60th year of our nation that the time is ripe for us to establish consensus on some national issues. It is important for us to have a conversation on how we name things that are of national importance to us all. I speak of the seat of the presidency and Founders' Day. In my view, it is not right that 60 years after independence, these matters are still at large.
Well, this has happened. A bill has been laid in Parliament. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, tell us about this bill that has been laid. Give us more details.
So this is an amendment to the Public Holidays Act 2018. So it's described as the Public Holidays and Commemorative Days Bill 2018. And just to give you some brief details, the purpose of the bill, we understand, is to amend the Public Holidays Act 2001 to provide for 3 different holidays. The 7th day of January will be observed as the Constitution Day. The 4th day of August will be observed as the it is described as the Founders Day, and then we would have the 21st day of September being observed as Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day. And per the details of the bill, the 25th day of May, which is also celebrated currently as a holiday, and as well as the 1st of July will then become commemorative days and not exactly public holidays. That's exactly what this particular bill is seeking to achieve. And the bill explains why 4th August is being brought in as a public holiday, because it says that in 1897, that's when the real protest in order to ensure that Ghana gains independence began, hence the need to celebrate the individuals, including Jacob W.C., John Mensah Saba, and others who helped in that particular regard.
Well, Joseph, you've been speaking to some MPs and they've been reacting to this.
It's just trying to create confusion and change the history of Ghana. Who are founders? How many people who found the country? Who are the founders? Yes, we admit and agree that people might have started from somewhere and somebody might have come on board to make it a reality. We all agree. Yes, but this issue of founders and a founder, we have to, because when I was in GSS, that was what I was told, that the founder of Ghana is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Okay. J.B. Dankwa or whoever, they played their role in 1946 to 1947, before Kwame Nkrumah came. But the fact remains that there's only one founder in Ghana that we have, and that is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He founded Ghana and he brought independence, because there are two schools of thought. One was saying that independence in the shortest possible time. And the shortest possible time could be now, as I'm speaking with you. Yeah. And the other one was saying that independence within the shortest possible time, or independence now. Sure. That is the other one. So, if you say independence now, it's different from independence within the shortest possible time. Okay. You and I will not be able to determine where the definition of shortest possible time. Sure. So
for you, Nkrumah is the founder.
Nkrumah is the founder.
Idea of Founders Day is a bad one.
It's an extremely bad one. We all know Nkrumah is a founder. We were taught in secondary school, GSS, and up to now, our children and our brothers and sisters were taught about Nkrumah, who is the founder.
So will you support the proposed amendments that we celebrate the Founders Day?
I will never support the proposed amendment. The Founders Day, who are the founders? We should support the Founders Day.
Well, you heard that Ernest Nogbe. He is a member of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee. That's a committee considering this particular or studying this particular bill. You're listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Bernice Abubedu Lansa. Still to come, 4 persons who were shot dead in Fuasi laid to rest today as government pays medical bills for victims.
All of them will survive the gunshot. But today, they are departing us to a place we cannot see them again. But today, there's no hope.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality. But I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Thanks for staying here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Ridwan Asante is here. What's happening with Kumasi Asante Kotoko?
Yes, they are in Nairobi, Kenya as we speak for Saturday's CAF Confederation Cup first qualifying round first leg tie against Kariobangi Sharks FC. Now, the team touched down yesterday, but they are unhappy with the way they've been received by their host. That's Sharks Chief Executive George Amuakon has been talking about some of the ordeal they've been through the short time they've been in Kenya.
The vehicle given us is not in good condition, and when we requested for a better one, we were told to use it like that. In the interest of building a good relationship, since they will also come to Ghana, we pushed, but they wouldn't listen to us. We are not worried, but they should know we will also host them in Ghana and will give them same treatment, the same kind of bus. But notwithstanding, we didn't come here because of a bus. We will not let them shift our focus from what we came here for. We are preparing for the game and we want to do very well.
Keep your concentration there on the match, preparing to do well in that.
George Amuakon was speaking to Kumasi-based Oripa FM in that interview. That's your sports for the afternoon, Benny.
Thank you, Redwan Asante. Now, in 2016, a boy's leg was chopped off when a driver knocked and crushed him against a wall in his school.
On the second day of June 2016, Jeremiah Arthur left for school very healthy, but what happened later that day changed his life forever. While waiting to be picked after school, a vehicle driven by a 62-year-old woman veered off the road, jumped over an open drain and crushed Jerry against the wall as he tried to flee. Staff Sergeant Inusa Abib, the coordinator of schools for 2 garrison in Takoradi, describes what happened afterwards.
The car hit the hanging leg against the wall, and I suspect the woman was stepping on accelerator thinking it was brake, so there was more pressure. Eventually it cannot push this very wall, so the leg was still in between the wall and the car until the leg auto chopped off. I took the leg and then pieces of the bones in a rubber bag and followed a car with the child to Effiong Kwanta Hospital.
In fact, the boy too is very, very courageous. Because when he was picking him up, he was not crying. He didn't cry. He just turned like this and looked at the leg. It's like he was really smiling.
The driver of the vehicle which knocked Jerry is a 62-year-old spare parts dealer in Takoradi, Madam Martha Amponsa. She was charged with dangerous driving and negligently causing harm and was fined 1,800 Ghana cedis, which she paid.
That was Manasseh Azuri Awuni's report. An insurance marketer, Edgar Redu, says that the Takoradi Circuit Court judge failed to apply the right fines prescribed by law against the driver who hit Jeremiah Arthur.
And the action clearly states that the lady was sentenced to a fine of 1,800 Ghana. Now, the offenses have been clearly spelled out, and those offenses have their statutory units also spelled out in the act. The minimum for that particular dangerous driving issue is 250 penalty units, and the maximum 500. So why would the judge give something less, 150 units? Number two, the same law also provides that looking at the severity of what injuries the victim has sustained, the court can impose a certain conviction. That is, you would ask the culprit to pay a certain amount of compensation to the little boy or the victim. Why did the court close his eyes on that?
You heard an insurance marketer, Edgar Redu, speaking on matters arising from this week's Hotline documentary produced by Manasseh Azuri Awuni, A Boy's Wish. Now, government says it's paid part of the medical bills of victims of the Fuasi shootings, in which 4 people were killed and several others wounded. Chairman of a committee tasked to investigate the killings, Akwesi Boateng Ejay, tells Joy News all those identified by the investigative committee are covered. Police allegedly shot residents who were protesting the relocation of the Etrima Kwanoma district capital from Fuasi to nearby Tridie. Mr. Boateng Ejay tells my colleague Ohiming Teria government is also committed to paying compensation to victims.
There were issues about compensation, but we made it clear to them that the committee was not immediately in a position to handle the compensation because it has to be cleared with the Attorney General's Department. So the Attorney General's department has been contacted by my ministry, which is the local government ministry. My boss has written to the Attorney General to advise on the issues of the medical compensation. So that is being sorted out. But we have paid medical bills which were identified by the committee that was set up by the regional minister. That has been paid.
Deputy Local Government Minister Akwesi Boateng Eje there. Now, the four who died, Seth Danso, Prince Boateng, Kojo Ofori and Douglas Adai, have been buried today. Let's go live now and speak to my colleague Ohiming Teria, who's been following the story since it broke. Ohiming, you've been speaking to some relatives of the deceased. What have they been telling you?
Yes, that is for relatives or families of the deceased. Some say they thought it was a dream, but today when the bodies were brought and they were laid in stage, that is when they come to realize that it wasn't a dream, but the reality has dawned on them, and the fact that they are losing their loved ones, whom they say they will not see them again. That's a relative.
Today is a very sad day in our lives. In fact, it is one of the days that we will never forget in our lives. It's going to the books of Fuanse on that fateful Wednesday, which we have christened it as the Black Wednesday, was a day we can never forget, because losing 4 of our family members through this shooting incident, they committed no crime, and burying them at the same time, the same day like this, we are seriously affected by the incident. We had hope that they will survive, but today there's no hope.
You had the relative of one of the deceased 4 persons at Fuanse. Drumming and dancing amidst excitement by residents of Yendi in the northern region to receive visitors and dignitaries who thronged the old Bewa Palace as final funeral rites of the late Yana Mahmudu Abdullahi IV begin today. Martina Bugri reports that there's a lot of calm in the area as well as brisk business. She joins us on the line. Martina, tell us the mood in Yendi now. Sorry, we're unable to raise Martina on the line now, but we will stay with this particular story because there's a lot of activities in Yendi from now even into 2019. But Mapito Sibiri is here with what's trending.
Hi, Bernice. And trending on Twitter, we've got Pogba, we've got Juventus, and we've got Lukaku and Theresa May. Let's start with a tweet from @SibsMUFC who says, "You just know 90% of the people abusing Pogba will be the same people going, my midfielder, best in the league, never doubted him when he's performing under our new manager next season." And at Nadia Jersey says, "Lukaku should actually come to Arsenal on loan. We are short of centre-backs at the moment." And John McDonnell MP says, "Shocking results for Theresa May." That's all that's trending on Twitter.
Thank you, Mapito CBD there with what's trending. Thanks so much for joining me on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Bernice Abubeidu Lansa. Our top story: Joy News investigations capture some doctors and nurses at the Tamale Teaching Hospital extorting monies from patients at the maternity ward. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. You can also follow us on our social media pages. We are Joy News on TV and on Twitter. Enjoy the rest of your day.